You are listening to another episode of Beyond Clean with Ace, a service of the Academy of Cleaning Excellence. I'm your host, Dave Thompson. And since you're listening, you might as well know that you're about to hear us talk about something which has to be healthy, positive, and or proactive in the cleaning industry today. In 2018, the Academy launched the Rockstar series of motivational sessions in addition to our tactical classes, which are instructed weekly around the U.S. Now, industry professionals are here to talk, share their thoughts, and let you know what's on their mind. So turn up the sound and let's get talking.
Okay, folks, we are back again with another episode of Beyond Clean with Ace. And as you can see, I've got Sean DeVore with me.
Hey, Dave, good to see you again.
Sean's been on the show with us before. If you haven't caught up with us on either our podcast or our YouTube video, Sean is with Mannington. I'm going to let him tell a little bit, and then we're going to get into this kind of yucky floor behind us.
Hey, everybody, I'm Sean DeVore. I'm with Mannington Commercial. I'm a commercial manufacturer's rep that covers North Florida and South Georgia.
You've been in this for how long?
About 30 years.
Okay, so we're not, well, you can tell we're both not young puppies.
Exactly.
You're right. So one of the things we've talked about in prior episodes, let's kind of catch them up if they haven't caught up already. What have we been talking about when it comes to luxury vinyl floors?
Well, we talked about LVP, which is a luxury vinyl plank that typically looks like a wood. And we talked about luxury vinyl tile, which is either an abstract or a stone look. Could be a square profile or a rectangle profile.
Right.
We've talked about wear layers, a little bit about wear layers and the different levels, residential versus commercial.
Right.
And now I think today we're going to talk about maintenance.
Okay, but I'm going to stop a little bit before we get into maintenance, folks, because wear layers, as we talked earlier, Sean, can be scratched.
Correct.
By what?
Well, any number of things. You could have debris on the floor and you roll a caster across it, that could scratch it. You could also have a typical chair without a caster that is missing the smooth caster on the bottom and the nail sticking out. It could be a high heel without a stiletto heel without a rubber protector.
Well, hey, we live in the land of sand.
Correct.
What about sand?
Sand, if left on a floor and continually walked on, is an abrasive, and it will wear and scratch the wear layer.
Sandpaper, folks.
Correct.
That's where it comes from.
Correct.
If you've been to one of my classes here at the Academy, you will have learned when we talk about resilient floors that 1 grain of sand, that's one single grain of sand, can have up to 57 cutting edges. So whenever you say that the wear layer, no matter what it is, I think we talked anywhere from 6 to 40.
To 40, right.
No matter what that UV, if I get this right, UV cured
urethane finish.
Yeah, jeez. Okay, that's not what you're putting on the floor today, folks. And this is what we're here today to talk about. This picture behind us, let's step out of the way just a little bit. You see this right here? This area right here is the way it should look. That was when the matting was on it. This area here, well, that's a whole other story.
Well, that appears to be where you've tried to put finish on a urethane UV cured floor and it didn't stick.
Now, why are you blaming me for it?
I didn't say you did it personally, Dave.
Okay, all right, good, thank you. I would not do that, folks, and this is what we're here to talk to you about today, is that, well, you can dump floor finish on anything.
You can put floor finish on anything. As a matter of fact, most warranties and our manufacturers allow you to put finish on their product. But I've been called in for many different things, the issues with floor finish. Either they've put the finish on and it appears to be opaque because the finish is not sticking to the actual urethane wear layer.
Okay, so why didn't it stick?
We engineer it so nothing will stick to it.
So why should you put floor finish on a product that was made not to let anything stick on it?
You ever heard the term shiny is clean? That's why.
Because it's all about a perception instead of reality.
Correct.
And this is what we teach all the time. So yes, you can put floor finish on it. You can see the little shiny spot up by his head, not mine. No. Okay. Okay, all right. We're going to get punchy here in a little while.
Yeah.
But the thing here is we're saying you can put floor finish on it, but if you do, there's going to be consequences.
Correct. You have to deal with it because, as you mentioned earlier when we were talking before we started, was if depending on what pad you put on the machine, if you put a black pad on it, you're going to take the wear layer off the product.
Well, what is on a black pad? An abrasive like sandpaper.
Correct. So when you're removing the strip, you're using stripper and you're removing the finish, you can go right down through and remove the stripper, and then you take off the wear layer, and then you're right into the actual film that gives you the look of the wood floor.
The fake wood.
The fake wood, right.
Okay, so what you're saying is it's the stripper or the pad or the process. What's damaging the floor in the stripping process?
A little bit of everything you just talked about.
Uh-oh.
So
then I shouldn't put finish on it, even though the manufacturer says I can. Doesn't say I should, right?
No, it doesn't. We definitely don't. And I try to discourage all of my end users on putting finish on.
Okay, so even though the maintenance instructions say I can, you're saying I shouldn't, because stripping processes is going to damage not only the wear layer, but the surfacing.
You could completely destroy the product where it can't be brought back.
And that's not covered under warranty.
No.
Okay, I figured I knew what the answer was to that.
Exactly.
So then this picture behind me, folks, is one that we got called on here at the Academy, and they said, we have a wood floor, we need you to take care of it. Tell us how to take care of it. Well, first thing I said, as you and I talked earlier, I just didn't assume that it was a wood floor. When we got there, obviously, it wasn't wood, it was vinyl, it was plank. It looks like wood, but it looked like, well, dark aged wood. Mm-hmm. And then we found out that it was sticky. Everything was sticky. And that's because the floor finish,
it wasn't curing. So it wasn't adhering to the surface and actually curing.
So it cured and it bonded together, but it didn't stick to the floor.
Correct.
Which allowed the detergents and the films to build up on it. Well, I found out, now tell me what you know, because this is what happens out in the field, right?
Correct.
And then you and I get called to it.
Right.
I found using a cylindrical brush with the floor stripper would take it off and return it back to pretty close to what it was when it was laid.
Yeah, and the brush won't hurt the product. And if, like you had mentioned, if you go with the grain, you're actually cleaning those grains out. Whereas with a cylindrical brush, not cylindrical, a round rotary is the word. Got to get into your world.
Yeah, okay, all right.
So the rotary brush is just grinding things in, where the cylindrical brush will actually bring it out of the groove.
Well, you can see those grooves behind us, folks, and this is what we're talking about. Some of the vinyl plank has more texture. What did you call that before?
Tick.
I'll have to remember that word. I knew it was something different than what I was saying. Anyway, so we've got to get that out of the grain. We need to do that without damaging the surface if we can, but let's go back another step. If we're taking care of a brand new floor, what should we really do?
Wouldn't it be much easier to use a microfiber dust mop and dust mop the area to remove the sand? And
well, we should be doing that to all floors anyway.
You should, John. You should be, but when it's got floor finish on it, they're less likely to do that.
Well,
as often.
That's in your world, not mine.
No.
I tell them that's what they should do all the time.
And okay. I agree.
So we're talking, I also say damp microfiber instead of dry.
Mm-hmm. So and then you can come back with your auto scrubber in order to apply a neutral cleaner.
Now, wait a minute. Before you start going any further, should I use a rotary or should I use cylindrical?
We do not, in our literature, we don't differentiate between the two, but in my career.
We're in our world, not, well,
in my career,
you have to cover yourself, yeah, I understand.
Right, in my career though, I've seen that cylindrical brushes work twice as good as what a rotary brush does. But most facilities have rotary brushes.
Well, if you got a brand new floor and you're looking for the best practices, it would be a cylindrical auto scrubber.
Correct, that would be the best kind to use with a neutral cleaner.
Well, I'm glad I'm saying the right thing.
And it can be warm water or it can be cold water. It just depends on what you have access to.
So I say tap.
Yes. Room temperature tap water.
Right.
Your proper mixture of your neutral cleaner, more is not better.
Exactly. Neutral cleaner measured through a measuring device.
Exactly.
All right, okay.
And then you auto scrub the floor. You apply your chemical to the floor. You scrub the floor, and then you remove the chemical and rinse the floor.
Whoa, wait, what did you say? We should rinse the floor?
Yes. Remove residue.
Remove residue. Okay. Now, I know there's a lot of people not going to like what you just said, but you said that. You're the manufacturer.
Well, I think removing residue is a little bit easier than stripping, right?
Well, and I think this is the thing, folks. This is why we're telling you. A lot of people are putting this floor down, this floor type down for less maintenance. There is no such thing as no maintenance.
No, you still have to wash the clothes that you wear. You may have a stain repelling shirt, but you still have to wash it or get it clean.
Correct. And you don't leave the detergent on there. So
correct.
If I were mopping, because I don't have an auto scrubber.
Okay.
If I'm mopping, what should I be doing?
So I would use a 2-stage mop bucket with a microfiber mop, because if you're using these new floors in commercial with aggregates in them are going to tear a cotton mop up. You'll find it'll just disintegrate the mop.
So you were talking earlier about some of the protective coatings that's on here has aggregate built into it.
Correct. Depending on the manufacturer, it'll have a different brand name, but yes.
Some type of an aggregate, and that's to increase the slip coefficient.
And the durability of the floor, because I'm going to give up some cleaning ability with the floor by adding durability to the floor, because I'm going to have to put an aggregate in it to make it resist wear better and scratches better.
So the thing is by adding a floor finish to it, I've increased instead of decreased the slip.
Yeah, you have a very smooth, hard surface that when it gets wet, that doesn't absorb anything, that you can slip on very easily.
So mop the floor if I need to with a divided bucket or double bucket system, metered neutral cleaner, microfiber, damp mop with a microfiber on a daily basis, auto scrub with cylindrical if I can.
Yes.
And I don't put anything on it?
You don't put nothing on it.
So that's where the no maintenance comes in.
That's where people talk about no maintenance, because they assume maintenance is associated with strip and finish. And maintenance is just taking care of something. You're maintaining the floor.
So this is reduced maintenance, not no maintenance.
Correct.
And that's why we're going to this, so that we're not in that life cycle of stripping and refinishing like we do with VCT.
Correct, because there's all kinds of different things that are being brought up now with stripping and waxing, other than just the work that goes into it and the cost.
So I want to go back to something that you said, because I always talk about this in class all the time. All chemistry, if used on a surface, leaves a residue. And you said rinse, and I've always said the last thing we need to do on any surface is rinse off the chemistry residue that is left. Even if it's a neutral cleaner, it's still going to leave some residue. And this is what you're saying?
Yeah, it does leave some residue, but what we'd like to see is if you could rinse it to clean it.
So would it be better, and I'm just asking a question, we didn't talk about this,
Sure.
So would it be better if I would actually spray my neutral cleaner on the floor and just use plain water in my auto scrubber to scrub and rinse all at one time?
I wouldn't have. I would just consult the chemical manufacturer to find out what the dwell time of the neutral cleaner needs to be, not that you're just spraying it and running right over it, because it's probably not doing anything to lift the soil.
So no matter what we're saying, folks, is what you're getting here is this is not using a high alkaline, all-purpose or multi-purpose cleaner.
Correct.
We're talking neutral, less than 8 pH.
Yes.
Okay. Multi-purpose cleaners are usually between 8 and 10, and we're talking strippers are between 10 and 13.
Wow. Yes.
Okay. So we're not using those. We don't use acids on this either, correct?
No acids necessary.
So what would, let's see, bleach is a 13. I don't use bleach on this.
No. Now we do have some dialysis centers that use a reduced dilution of bleach, a 20% solution of bleach, due to the nature of the environment where they're at, in order to kill the nasty bugs that are there.
Yeah, but we're talking about the everyday common contractor cleaner that's out there, cleaning most of where these floors are. Yes, you have isolated cases.
Sure. Right.
But generally, we're not going to want to use a bleach substance on this kind of floor.
No, there's no reason to.
So, I think this is what we're trying to talk today about is, while you have all of the decisions about what type of floor it is, then there is the mill layer thicknesses that we need to look at. But above all, neutral cleaner, automatic scrubber, cylindrical brush, microfiber, and go on about your business. Why are you wanting to put floor finish on it?
And introduce more chemicals to the environment. More of everything.
More of everything. Well, I think we've covered that. There's so much more, and we've got all kinds of tips that we can give you. If you only come to a class, either call Sean. You want to give out your number again?
352-630-9884.
And I will also make sure that Sean's email address and information is there. If you've listened to us on a podcast, you didn't see the pictures of the floor, I'll try to add some of those to something later. If you've been watching the video, you've seen the picture here. Check us out on academyofcleaning.com. Find a class there. It's very likely that sometime during 2020, we're going to get Sean in and when we're teaching a class and maybe learn some other things. I didn't know anything about tick. I'm supposed to always learn something.
That's right.
Sean?
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for being on the show again. If you know somebody that you'd like to see on the show that's got something to talk about, please get them to us. We always like to talk about something that's healthy, positive, and proactive here at Beyond Clean with ACE. See you next time.